So on today's video, recorded in mid-June in 20-degree heat, and yes, I'm still wearing the jumper. Bad idea with the jumper, but never mind. Today's video is all about Scarper. So, Scarper from Hull, some of the finest people you will ever meet. How did I start working with them, or how did I actually first come to know about them? Well, obviously, Pig Dog Records was their label, which Russell ran. He also obviously did Fracture fanzine as well. And they'd done a couple of 7-inch singles, a split with another band from Hull called Lithium Joe, and then their own 7-inch single, which I think was sort of out in like probably 98 time, 99 time. They'd also done a split single with Crocodile God on the Mother Stoat singles club releases, so I think I got a copy of that as well. So I was aware of them, and you know, and stuff like that. And obviously I then got to know Russell through Annalise, because Annalise were going to do Our Story Goes Like This on Pig Dog Records and stuff. So yeah, and I remember I think I was chatting to Russell at some time, and he said, we've recorded a Scarper album. Don't suppose you want to do it on Boss Tuneage, would you? And at which point I said, well, yeah, send it me up. I'd love to have a listen, you know, because I'd like the stuff I'd heard. I hadn't seen them play live at this point, and they sent me through, and I thought, yeah, this is really good. This is really good. And plans were put afoot quite quickly to basically, I was organising the Unknowns tour at this time. And so the plan was put afoot for Scarper to perhaps support the Unknown, and would release their CD Every Turn at the same time. So we put Every Turn in to be pressed to come back at the same time as the Unknowns pop-up for that tour in July 2000. So yeah, so I think we pressed the Unknown, Scarper, Ish, and I think Boss Tuneage, the first Boss Tuneage comp as well at the same time. So yeah, so I had 4 things all going through the CD plant before the CD plant imploded. So yeah, when I remember that Russell said, do you think we could get like 150 of them not with any sort of shrink wrap on them? And I said, oh yeah, well yeah, probably. Why do you want that? Saying, well, we'd like to do a limited edition of it. And the limited edition that they did, obviously it was called Every Turn, and with the artwork, is they decided that they wanted to put some screws, I don't know if you can see that on there, some screws in that part of the jewel case. So they emptied them all out, decased them, put the screws in, put them on, and put a sticker on it. So you may have, there were 1,000 pressed of every turn, and 150 of them come with some screws. So if you got one of those, you know, you got the limited edition. This is number 61 apparently. So yeah, so I just found that today, and I remember it got really good reviews, and but there was I think, if I'm honest now, I can say there was a little bit of trepidation because I hadn't actually seen the band play live, and so the first time I'd see them was when I arrived at their house with their CDs, with an American band on tour, and we're just about to see them play live, and thinking, oh, yeah, what's this going to be like? You know, I was a little bit nervous, I'll be honest now, but I needn't have bothered, because for me, Scarper were a fantastic live band, and I think actually their recordings never quite did their live show justice, if I'm honest. I think anyone who remembers seeing Scarper will remember that, you know, live they were a different animal. In all honesty, and you know, their unique USP is that you had Kirsty playing trumpet, but here was a punk band with a trumpet player that wasn't playing ska punk, which was kind of novel and also quite refreshing, but it also actually meant that they really sort of stood out live. So yeah, so the lineup was Matt on drums, Misha on bass, Mac on lead vocals and guitar, Russell on guitar, and Kirsty on trumpet. And so they would do the Unknown tour, and by the time the Unknown tour finished, sort of 10 days later, I had Friends for Life. Yeah, we had a wonderful time on that tour. It's just full of loads and loads of happy memories. The Unknown and Scarper got on like a house on fire, and it also said to me, you know, this band's great live, and you know, they are just such lovely people, they're going to get on with anyone. So they kind of became, at that point, my go-to band. If I was thinking I'm going to bring another band over on tour, you know, would Scarper like to do the tour with them? And one of my overriding memories of that first tour was that Russell brought his laptop with him on tour because he had to do his work. And he was always doing his work on this laptop like once everyone else had gone to bed. And you know, and we kind of thought, you know, well, it's something to do with websites he does as his day job, you know, something like that. But I'm not going to tell you what Russell was doing, but if you go and find out the last issue of Fracture and read his column, the last Fracture fanzine that came out, you'll know what he was doing. So the next tour that was planned was actually Hate Fuck Trio were going to come over, but they had to cancel. So I remember that Scarper did some shows with Vehicle Derek, and Blocko played on a couple of those shows as well. So yeah, so that was the next kind of tour after that. So that must have been, oh, I can't remember now, but that must have been either late 2000, early 2001. And following from that, plans were put in for another tour in September 2001 with this new Chicago band called Woolworthy, who I was bringing over. And yet again, both bands got on like an absolute house on fire. That was another wonderful tour as well, but I'll obviously speak more about Woolworthy on a video soon. And of course, one of the mainstays of their live set was the song called Groupthink. And I remember the Unknown really loved Groupthink, and so I remember Ken from the Unknown, when they went in to record the Real Thing mini CD after Pop Art, after the tour, said to me, we're going to cover Groupthink. But what we're going to do is, because Scarper used to do like a football chant, the unknown, the unknown, the unknown, when they played on that tour. And they asked them to go into the studio to record that, but not realising it was going to be tagged on to the end of a cover version of one of their songs. So that was the little secret that I was in the loop with, that I had to keep from them at the time. But yeah, it was... yeah, like I say, it's wonderful memories, and like I say, I think if anyone saw Scarper live, they you know, that's where they shone without shadow of a doubt. In my mind, you know, it was just fantastic songs, and songs that I think have actually stood the test of time really well. So Every Turn is a cracking little CD. There was quite a gap between that and them recording something else, and I can't really remember now for the life of me why it took a while. I think probably because I got them out playing so many gigs. They didn't have time to go and write some new songs or record them. But we always wanted to do another Scarper record. I mean, it was an absolute no-brainer. And eventually they would record 4 more songs for a mini sort of EP that we put out called Wildcat Strike. And I think that contains a couple of their finest songs that they did. The production was also a lot better on that. By that point, we discovered Mark Sturgis, who ran the studio called Soundstation Studios in West Yorkshire. And my own band, Benny, would record there as well. And lots of bands were going there because Mark seemed to work really efficiently, really well, and could really capture this kind of music. So yes, they went in there and recorded 3 of their own songs and a cover version of Kiss the Bottle by Jawbreaker. And so when I remember Wildcat Strike got some really good reviews as well. But you know, when I was doing lots of all-day shows for like touring bands that were coming over in London and stuff, and I always remember that sort of like the first 2 names on the sheet would always be Annalise, Scarper, right, who else are we having? And you know, when those went on, and so they played loads of Boss Tuneage all day, as appeared on loads of our label samplers and the mail order sampler CDs that we used to send out with our mail order catalogue. You know, they were a Boss Tuneage band through and through. So yeah, there was no doubt that any Scarper release would come out on Boss Tuneage, you know, it was you know, as I say, you know, they were great mates as well. You know, real friends. You know, Matt used to send me a Christmas card, you know, out the blue, which was a lovely touch. You know, and yeah, so you know, I go, you know, years probably between seeing the guys, but you know, I always like, it's always great when I do see them or you know, or hear from them. You know, on social media, like so much is these days, and. Yeah, so I think there were plans to do another release after Wildcat Strike, but then the band kind of ended. Russell and Kirsty were in a relationship and they split up, and that kind of split the band up as well. Now the male members of Scarper did actually do another band and recorded some songs after that called Kiss Catastrophe. And we were actually talking because at that time Benny had split up, and I was doing a band with James Sherry on drums, Del and Alan, Del who'd been in Vehicle Derek and Benny, and Alan who'd been in Benny, called Jack Shit. And the idea was to do a Jack Shit Kiss Catastrophe split 7-inch. So we kept back our 2 best songs to go on that. And then it didn't happen, and I can't for the life of me remember why it didn't happen. So we actually put out the 4 songs that we thought we'd recorded 6 songs. We put out 4 on a 7-inch single and kept the 2 best back for a split 7-inch to do with Kiss Catastrophe. And for whatever reason, it just never happened. And I honestly, to this day, I've been trying to rack my brains just to think why we never did it. But you know, it didn't happen. But yeah, it's Scarper, great band. You know, do check them out if you're not familiar with them. Like I keep saying, brilliant live band, because they were. And you know, very humble, down to earth people, lovely people, who I'm really, really glad are part of the Boss Tuneage history. That's it for this video. See you on the next one.
Against the young, the black, against the white, everybody to keep us in our place.